Now I demonstrate the figure 4 armbar. First off, I change my base so that my back is facing my opponent's head. Next, I will pretend as though I'm going to pass his half guard. I accomplish this by placing my hand on my opponent's knee and pressing outward. Thinking I'm trying to separate his legs and pull my trap leg free, he reaches his left arm up to defend. The instant he does this, I establish a figure 4 lock on his arm and apply the submission. So, I grab his left wrist with my right hand, slide my left arm under his left elbow, and then grab my right wrist with my left hand. So, one more time. I change my base, fake the pass, and secure his arm. I can finalize here, or I can turn his hand and finish here. One more time. I turn and secure my base as best as possible. I place my hand on his knee and pretend to separate his legs to pull my trap leg free. As he goes to defend, I secure his arm. I hook my left arm underneath his left elbow and grab his left wrist with my right hand. I can finish the submission here, or I can turn and finish him here. This position is much more powerful than the previous arm position. My arm under his elbow acts as the fulcrum, and his thumb is facing away from that fulcrum. This allows my entire upper body to put leverage directly against his elbow joint, causing it to hyperextend. It is important to mention that I place my weight on his chest. If I lean too far over to the side, he can sweep me over to my back and obtain a dominant position. If I am too low on the opposite side, then I don't have the leverage needed to finish the submission. So I place my center of gravity in the center of his body. I fake the pass, he defends, and then I secure the submission. Now I demonstrate the katagatame submission from half guard, a technique I use to finish Sakaju in the UFC. To set up the submission, I secure my opponent's forearm with one hand and then hit him with my opposite arm. Even if he secures my wrist, I can come over the top and hit him with my elbow. When I hit him with the elbow, he defends against my attack by raising his elbows. This is the reaction that I wanted. The instant his elbow goes up, I slide my right arm under his head and place my head against the right side of his elevated arm. Next, I will pass into side control. I accomplish this by placing my left foot on top of his knee and then forcing his knee downward. This allows me to pull my trap leg free and move into side control. Once there, I finish the submission by placing my knee in his stomach, driving my chin into his eye, and squeezing my arms tight. Sometimes you need to play around with the finish to discover what works best for you. One more time. I am hitting my opponent. He elevates his elbow to protect himself, and I secure his head. I place my left foot on top of his leg and pull my right leg out. Sometimes when I'm holding my opponent down in the half guard, he wants to push me. To set up the submission, I will strike his arm through, place my head on the side of his arm to trap it to the side of his neck, pass to side control in the opposite direction, stabilize the position, and finish the submission. Once more, I am in the half guard position, my opponent pushes his arm into me, and I strike his arm over and push my body forward, driving my head toward the floor. Notice how I post out wide with my right arm. Unlike in the previous katagatame variation, now my head is across Shinzo's body. Because my weight is far across the center line, and his legs are blocking my right foot as a point of base, my right hand will be the only thing stopping my brother from executing a sweep in the middle of my transition. Here I show the submission again. I hit, hit, hit. When my opponent defends, I enter. I place my foot on top of his leg, I pull it, free my trapped leg, move to the side control position. Here is the second version. I am in side control, my opponent pushes into me with his arm, I hit it to the side, push my head forward, place my foot on his leg, pass into side control, and finish the submission. One more time. I strike my opponent from the half guard, he defends, I slide my arm under his head, next I place my foot on top of his leg, pass, and finish the submission. Now I demonstrate to the opposite side. I'm holding my opponent down, he pushes into me with his arm. Drop my head down, pass, finish. Now I demonstrate how to submit your opponent with a leg lock from the half guard. With my back turned toward my opponent's head, I wrap my right arm underneath his far leg and pull it toward my body. You don't want to let him pull his leg toward the mat. You want to keep it tight to your body. Next, I place my left hand on the mat, post, and move my left knee over his body. This puts me in a perfect position to apply the leg lock. I hook the leg, place my hand on the mat, and step my knee over his body. From here you can see the space I need to slide across his body. I make that space by posting up on my hand, driving my leg across his torso, and pinching my knees together. In this position, you can see how my knees and hips are both at a 90-degree angle. This body position allows me to apply much more forward pressure with my hips than if my legs and hips were straight. When I pin his foot to my chest, my hips become the fulcrum, applying pressure and hyperextending the knee joint. Then I finish the submission. I hook the leg, place my hand on the mat, and step my knee over his body. Now I will demonstrate a leg lock that is not very traditional, but highly effective nonetheless. Normally when you're in the half guard, your opponent will expect you to move your body in a clockwise direction and apply the leg lock I demonstrated in the previous technique. He is waiting to defend against it. To switch things up, I repeatedly strike my opponent in the face. With him distracted, I rotate in a counterclockwise direction, step my left leg over his legs, and then apply the leg lock. One more time. I am hitting my opponent. When he is distracted, I rotate in a counterclockwise direction, step over his legs, and apply the submission. I am hitting my opponent. When he is distracted, I rotate in a counterclockwise direction, step over his legs, and apply the submission. Once more, fast. I am hitting my opponent, rotate, and lock in the submission. Now I demonstrate how to catch your opponent in an arm lock when he attempts to submit you with a kimura from his half guard. So my opponent attacks me with a kimura. My first defense is to place the arm he is attacking between my legs. This takes away his leverage, making it difficult for him to lock in his hold. If I leave my arm to the outside, he can elevate it and apply the submission.